Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining to the Career Path Mixers organized by AOCS Student Common Interest Group. First of all, I would like to thank the audience and the speakers for joining us for this wonderful event. So I'm Andrew Charles. I'm a PhD candidate at North Dakota State University. So today, myself and Godze will be serving as the moderator for this event. Godze, can you introduce yourself briefly?
Sure. Hello, everyone. So this is Gözde Gülseren. I am a PhD candidate at University of Florida. So yeah, let's go.
Okay. So before starting, I want to briefly introduce about the AOCS. So AOCS is a professional and international organization where scientists, technologists, and engineers who are passionate about finding solutions for scientific challenges collaborate together. And it's an excellent platform for various people from young scientists to distinguished scientists. So in order to become a member of AOCS, you just have to pay a small fee, which is just $25 for students. And once you pay the fee, you have access and various benefits. So you have access to Inform Digital Edition, Inform Smart Brief, and also you can be a member of various divisions which are in the AOCS. We have Proteins and Co-Product Division, Human and Nutrition, Health and Nutrition Division, and so on. And in addition, AOCS have several scholarship opportunities and networking events. So I encourage students to become a member. So today we have three speakers, one from government, another from industry, and another from academia. So it's time to introduce our speakers. Our first speaker is from government, Dr. Janita Vanasundra. Thank you for being here, Dr. Janita. So Dr. Janita is a research scientist at Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, Saskatoon Research and Development Center. She holds a doctorate degree in food science and has contributed over 200 peer-reviewed publications, book chapters, and presentations in the area of food protein chemistry and technology. Her research programs include value addition of oilseed and pulse proteins to enhance circularity of crop bioeconomy. She is a fellow of American Oil Chemist Society. Thank you, Dr. Vanasundra, for accepting our invitation and being here.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Next, we have our speaker from industry, Dr. Nuria Acevedo. Dr. Nuria Acevedo is a principal scientist of technical and analytical innovation at Griffith Food, North America. Also, she holds an affiliate faculty position as an associate professor in the Department of Food Science and Human Nutrition at Iowa State University. Dr. Acevedo specializes in soft material science of lipids and physiochemical properties of foods, particularly the functionalization and stability of high-fat products. Dr. Acevedo has published more than 63 scientific articles, 2 patents, and multiple book chapters. She is a member of AOCS, IFT, Food Structure and Functionality Forum, and Phi Sigma, the Honor Society of Food Science. Thank you, Dr. Acevedo, for being here.
Thank you, Anton.
Next, we have our speaker from academia, Dr. Hongbing Fan. Dr. Hongbing Fan is an assistant professor in the Department of Animal and Food Sciences at University of Kentucky. Currently, he is researching functional foods, proteins, and peptides. He has completed his bachelor's and master's degree in China and obtained PhD at the University of Alberta, Canada. He had a postdoctoral training for 1 year before joining the University of Kentucky in 2023. Dr. Hongbing has been volunteering for multiple AOCS units, including the Student Common Interest Group, Proteins and Co-Product Division, and Health and Nutrition Division, and has organized various academic and social events since he was a graduate student. Dr. Hongbing also served as a chair of Student Common Interest Group, and he has organized mixers like the current event and various webinars and chaired annual meeting sections and organized sectional conference. Thank you, Dr. Hongbing, for being here and for volunteering for AOCS for a long time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Antonio. Nice to be here.
You too. So We have a discussion section today. We will discuss around like 6 to 7 questions. And out of these 7 questions, the first 2 questions have been already fixed by our leadership team. So for each questions, all the 3 speaker has the opportunity to share their insights. So let's move on to the first question. And while we are discussing the first and second question, audience have the opportunity to ask any question. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat box. And after the second questions, we will ask to the speakers. So the first question is, how do you end up in your current role? And was it something you planned for as a student, or do you find yourself in it by chance? Dr. Vanasundra, do you like to go first?
Okay, sure, yeah. Thanks for inviting me as a panel to this wonderful group. It's our next generation. So for this question, I will, if I describe my role, current role is, I'm a research scientist with Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, which is the Department of Agriculture and Agri-Food for Canada. So I'm a scientific investigator. So scientific investigation related to issues and questions, scientific questions that come for agri-food industry that matters to Canada, and then I narrow it down to my area of expertise. So in doing so, my role involves project management. So from planning, conducting, and completion of projects related to the research questions. So that involves identify research questions, but it has to matter to the bigger questions that affect agri-food industry. Canadian agri-food sector provides food to global populations. So some of the questions are a little bit larger than local, really narrowed down research. So how to understand that and correct research question had to put in a way that the funders, the funding organizations, internal or external, they are all competitive research grants, research projects we have for funding, and to present that and convince them to match to the question and their funding criteria as well, and then get the funding, make sure human resources and all the physical resources are in place and managed throughout the project. Usually they are 3 to 5 year projects at least. We don't have further long projects right now, so in doing project management, you have to make sure everybody is aligning with their role in the project. So mentoring them and fixing if there's deviations. So if we have to deviate, we have to do that. And then scientific dissemination of the results to the funder as well as to the fellow science community, because they are important research questions. So that is, I see. And then third one is we have a responsibility to train the future generation. So that involves in our organization, because we are federal organization, helping or supporting from undergraduate level to graduates, higher degrees. So we do have programs for summer work and also co-op programs, and I participate in that and host students, and they are paid through the grants or projects we receive funding. And then graduate students. So in order to do that, master's and PhD level, I have affiliation to University of Saskatchewan. That is one of the main university I am affiliated with, and train graduate students for their higher degrees, and make sure we put out students to be independent researchers or support industry or any other research programs. So postdoctoral fellows we host to train them and give periods to train them to be independent researchers. So considering all that role, that is something I kind of had in my mind when I was a graduate student and also an undergraduate student, seeing the professors and research institutes, researchers, how much contribution they do from their knowledge and their skill skill set. So that helped me in my background. I was very much interested in science and math area. So in high school, physics, chemistry, and botany. Botany was actually, biology was taught in two different ways. Animal kingdom is zoology, plant kingdom is botany. So I like those three subjects particularly. So and ended up doing research on chemistry of plants. So I think it was kind of a career path that I worked to be in this stage.
Awesome, awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a great journey. Thank you for sharing with us.
You're welcome.
Next, Dr.
Yeah, maybe I
Azevedo. Or Dr. Hongbin, you can go first.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe I can share. I can follow Janita. I mean, like to answer the question, I mean, how did I end up in my current roles? Because if you look at my journey, it was pretty straightforward. There was I did pretty much like the bachelor studies and then master studies, then PhD and postdoc with less than a year, then get this academic job. And I mean, for most of the people, I mean, who would like to do job in academia, it's pretty fast actually. And I would say, everything is the best arrangement. I mean, it sounds like passive, but I mean, it does not mean that everything is very simple. It's always straightforward. And like for me, there's something it was it goes with as what you expected, and something is just by chance, just exactly as this question asks. So, for example, I went with academia, which was really I planned before I studied my PhD studies. But for choosing the research field, that was pretty much by chance. It's like the same, so I was planning before I when actually during my studies with my master's, I was actually really thinking of should I go to find a job in the industry, either go with an R&D divisions or to be a salesperson. I was struggling. I delayed my graduation. That was just because I did not have any internships. So I just talked to my graduate advisor. I say, okay, can I just take a year of a gap, and then I can spend a year. Then I work in different companies. There's they're a private company, they're a trade company. They do business and they do R&D, and also there's international companies. And then I got many interviews and also a few offers from those big companies like Cargill, Mars, Nestle, DuPont, and also like Fonterra, which is a dairy company in New Zealand. And I tried different jobs, then I compare them. Then I talked to people from the academia, and I also talked to people with the directors and other senior persons in the companies. They give me advices. And at that time, I already get a chance to study my PhD studies in Canada. I was just like thinking of which way should I go, because that is a big decision. If you go with a PhD, it's like at least a 5-year, at least 4 or 5 years of plan. I mean, that is maybe one of the most important decisions in your life. And it's good, after talking to these people and then with peers and with seniors, I feel okay. Studying abroad is possibly one of the best chance for me for now. And then why I choose, my graduate advisor, there was Dr. Jianping Wu at the University of Alberta in Canada. To choosing like his field is functional food and bioactive proteins and peptides. Actually, my master's thesis is not on this topic. I was pretty much like food chemistry, and then we are studying we're developing different preservation methods to extend the shelf life of a fish product. But at the same that time, we have a history in the lab that usually you like to do possibly 1 or 2 industrial projects. We cooperate with industry, and then so I did 1 project which is really developing in bioactive peptides as a functional food from different agriculture products and also byproducts. I mean, this is pretty much by chance. So I found, this was something I really interested, and I also considered that also my family, issues, and like my grandma and my some of my uncles, we are getting a very high blood pressure. I would like to say, if we can develop something from food, some nutrients that we can manage, these chronic diseases, that would be pretty interesting. I mean, I would say like it's very lucky if you already know your career goal before getting into your study. But if no, I mean, work a little bit harder, and then find talk to some senior students or people around you for suggestions, especially those in the same research field as yours, like people from your lab. Or you can take some time as a gap to try some jobs. And I mean, the best way is just you try it. People can tell you a lot of things, but you cannot really feel it without really experiencing these jobs. I mean, or you just look at your CV. Your CV will pretty much tell you what you can do. All your previous experience or records that can help you. I mean, so that is pretty much like what I did and what I have been experiencing in the past few years before getting this job. Thank you. Hope it helps.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Dr. Sivado, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you, Anto. Yes, in my particular case, I have a career path that is quite uncommon. As you may have heard from Anto's introduction, I was in the academia and I obtained my tenure as a professor at Iowa State University. And I have to say that I have never imagined to move from the academia to the industry sector. When I was a grad student, when I decided to pursue my PhD, I already had in mind that I wanted just to be a professor and go in the academia and do research all my life. So it was the right path for me, and I was very happy. Even I moved to Iowa State, and I was a successful professor there. And once that I obtained my tenure, over those years, I had the chance to work in several projects closely with from the industry. So I became aware of my interest and my growing interest on translating everything that we know and we have learned over the years in the research area and the academic area, just to apply it and just to bring a bigger impact to the final consumer. So basically for me, when I wake up in the morning, I want to feel that what I'm doing has an impact, right? And of course, I felt all those years, I felt my impact as a professor and doing basic science, but many times I felt that what we are learning in the lab, it doesn't reach the consumer, the final consumer. The industry not necessarily is using everything that we know and we learned in the lab, right? So that's when I decided just to pivot my career and just make a career path, right? And that's why I decided just to go to the industry where I can apply a little bit more everything I know and everything I have learned over the years for something in a faster way. So it has been, of course, a learning curve. It has been already, it's going to be 3 years this summer that I moved. I made that large move, but I don't have any regrets at all. Of course, later on, I think we can discuss some differences and challenges I found during this path. But basically, that's how I end up in the industry. Basically, finding out, if I had to say something, it's important to always have an open mind, right? And think things can change, right? I always thought, this is it. This is my place. I'm happy here. And this is going to be my life forever, at least in the career side. I had my tenure, so I have a job security. But then it was not enough. I wanted something else, and that's why I was open just to for a new challenge.
Sounds good. Thank you for sharing. Okay, we can move on to the next question. So the next question is, when considering your role in your field, what are the commonalities and difference compared to the other two careers?
So I'll go first. That's
sure.
the order, right? Yeah. I may not be able to compare that much with the industry because I don't have industry experience, but I observe only, I can say. I did work in academia 2 times before joining Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, 2 different universities. So have somewhat understanding or experience that. What I basically see is we all are researchers and investigating research questions and providing answers to betterment of human being or the industry, and so the industry or a sector can profit in financially and in otherwise. So what I see from academia, the difference in the government is academia involves in a lot of considerable amount of teaching. They have a teaching responsibility to the academic institute, while federal sector or public sector researchers do not engage that much in teaching. But I participate in guest lectures, and in once a while, in back, I taught a graduate course completely, but I don't do it right now. So it's my area of expertise as much as I can contribute. So it is through guest lectures, not totally taking the ownership of a course and providing that. The other one I see is the difference is our research topics are mainly majority of our research topics or research contribution is for public good research. So we do have patenting and securing intellectual property through innovations, and it is part of our work. And at the same time, most of our intellectual property protection is through publications that is available, scientific peer-reviewed scientific publication available to rest of the world. And we do work with industry to their particular research questions as far as these research questions are related to agriculture and agri-food and our departmental mandate. And we do what we can do, and we don't do what we cannot do. And so those are the things, and we do larger projects, collaborative projects across academia, industry, and some of the research is, led by industry. So if a crop sector, like, for example, I work with canola protein, so canola crop sector wants to advance the meat protein. So what are the approaches? So animal nutritionists do animal nutrition part, and I do as a food scientist and protein chemist, show what I can provide to answers. We do basic research, but they have a larger, addressing to a larger research topics. So that is what I can say. It is what I observe with industry. So industry may have their profit-driven research also, but I can't say 100% that, because then again, people work for the industry, so they do have a lot of consideration to the public, who are the consumers, who are the users of their technologies and things.
Thank you, Dr. Vanasandra. Dr. Hongbing, your thoughts?
Andrew, if you want, I can go next.
Sure, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so in my experience, of course, I had a chance just to look both sides of the coin, and I cannot speak for the government as Dr. Janita did, but I can tell you what I found the biggest differences and similitudes between both types of job, industry versus academia. I think I will start from the communalities, which is shorter. You have the chance in both careers. You have the chance to work with cross-functional teams. In the academia, you work with other professors in different areas. I was in food science, but I worked with animal science, engineering, like material science, different type of professionals. And in the industry, you are still doing that, cross-functional teams, maybe a little bit more expansive in the sense that now I have the chance to work with marketing teams, with sales teams, with consumer insights teams. So a little bit bigger, the reach out. And those for me are the biggest, but of course, like your training in the academia basically is not that different than working with other professors on other topics. Differences that I found between the industry and the academia, I think as one of the largest one for me is your career ladder. In the academia is very well defined, right? So if you're in a tenure track position, your institution knows how many years you had just to be as an assistant professor, and then associate, and then full, and what you need just to do to achieve that first step just to move up, right? And it's kind of set for in general, for all the institutions, right? There is not much a difference between different universities. And also is your university already tells, right? In the industry, I find that is very different. You can move up, you can move sides, it depends on what you want just to do, and it depends on the opportunities. So you don't have, not necessarily you have a tenure in the company. You can be 6 months in a company and then move sides to different positions, move up. You can jump, normally it's a very risky movement. If you are in the academia and you are in a tenure track position, it's very risky to move if you don't have tenure, right? I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I'm saying it's a lot of work. And sometimes when you move, it's kind of like a starting over, right? So in the industry, it's not like that. It's a very dynamic. People jump from one company to the next one, just to move up in the ladder, or just to find something that is more aligned with what they want us to do. Another big difference is, of course, job security. Once that you have, even though it's like relatively hard, just to get tenure at the university, once that you have tenure, you are just set, right? So very high job security. In the industry, it's not like that. You work for a business. If something happens, you can be let go anytime, right? I'm not saying that it's common to happen, but it's always there, right? So that's something just to have in mind. And in the industry, of course, the company pays your salary, and the company provides all the resources for do whatever that you are doing, whether it is product development or whether it is innovation, like in my area. So I'm lucky just to continue doing research for a private company, right? But not always is the case. And in the academia, resources basically are by grants that you obtain. So that adds a lot of pressure sometimes for the professors just to get funds, because with that you pay students, with that you pay your research, with that you buy instrumentation. So it is an added stress for somebody in the academia. And advantages of the academia is that you are very successful and you get lots of grants. You can just supplement your income, so add to yourself more salary, and of course the university pays for your salary. And then so job security, and of course bigger difference. One of the big difference is you have freedom to explore and to do research when you're in the academia, to whatever that your interest lies on. So you have the freedom of intellectual freedom, let's say it. And in the industry, that doesn't happen. So basically, if you do research, it's going to be about projects or topics that aligns, of course, with the interests of the long-range plans of the company, right? So not that much intellectual freedom. I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any, of course.
Definitely, it will help a lot of students. Thank you so much. Dr. Hongbing, you have any thoughts on this?
That's right. I disconnected actually a couple of times due to the internet, instability. But I still caught some of the points that Janita and Nuria mentioned. I guess that covers actually most of the pretty much every angle of the difference in the government. I mean, from me, I mean, I see people, they jump, from academia to industry, like Nuria, and also people from industry and back to academia. And also like I also know some people, they jump from academia to the government. I think it's still, a chance you can jump back and forth. And then possibly, as you grow, as your age grows, you may actually have a different opinions, like these jobs. For me, I think the commonalities. We are mainly talking about actually the differences. But the commonalities for me, I mean they're just a job. I mean we first have, the job is part of your life. So it really based on, I mean, if you want to, you have to love this job, and then then you can do a great job, whichever you are in academia, industry, and the government. And so the difference, I think, it covers a lot, job securities, job and incomes. And for myself, the reason I went with academia, it just be, and as I just mentioned at the very beginning, the last question. Now I had, a couple of different companies to do the internships. And I really say I don't want to really go with a job that I have to be there 8 o'clock in the morning and then I leave at 5 o'clock. Now I want to get more flexibility. That is one of the most important things why I go with academia. Even though you're still under pressure, you can have the freedom of flexibility in managing your time. And then actually for academia that I chose, I mean, you can work until you're 70 years old. I mean, sure, possibly you have to retire at a certain age, and then you can spend more time actually. If your lab goes well, I guess you can work more remotely. Even that's also like one of the things that I get more flexibility. And then, but for academia, if you for moving for job security, actually, if you like to move, it's possibly harder than working. You're working in the industry because you really have limited options. Like the reason Canada does not have many, the same number of universities as that like in the US. Because if there's no job opening, it's hard to move. It is impossible. And then another key thing I think I guess would be the rewards. I mean, for academia, I bet all these people you can get a very high salary. Pretty much, your salary goes from assistant professor, associate professor to professor. It's a big, small difference. And then, but you get more recognition. Like a broader recognition. So including from the public. Not like say possibly you are working in the industry, you're more of a personal income increase or at getting promoted. This was like something that I would like to add. I mean, I love this job because I can do research at the same time I can also teach and meet with young people. I like to talking to young guys and also teaching. That is why I chose this job. And hope this can add some new points to this question. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. And from here, I am gonna continue. And thank you so much, Anto. So I was planning to continue with the questions in the chat, but unfortunately, I couldn't see any questions in the chat. So I'm gonna share my screen and then we will continue.
I mean, possibly these guys, they want to just open their mic and speak, and you can ask them. I'm not sure, I see a lot of like Fermina faces here.
Yeah. So just a second, please. I don't know what's going on again. See, okay. Okay, so the other question would be, what are those things you wished you had known back then you were a student that you know now?
Yeah, I guess I can go first. Yeah. I mean,
Sure,
for me,
please.
it's pretty short. And I mean, actually, whatever, if I go back to, 10 years ago, I probably would do the same decision. But I wish I had known possibly, the difference of the jobs among academia, industry, and the government. I hope somebody, I met somebody, earlier that can tell me the difference and give me suggestions and guidances. I mean, this is, I think, what I would know. That's pretty short for me.
Okay.
I can go
Thank
second
you.
if you want. You can hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
Oh,
Please
perfect.
go ahead.
I can go second. I think what I would have liked to know when I was a student is the importance of getting involved on activities that they are going to be aligned with what you choose as a career, right? In my particular case, I was always focused on academic excellence, right? Like a very focused on like studying and being the best. And I now that I'm a professional and I already passed that, I wish somebody would have told me, Nuria, you need just to get out there. You need just to get do something, volunteer in a lab. I don't know, silly things, like do like even internships, unpaid internships. Go and do some research in a lab, right? Get that experience, get your foot in, get like a research professor that you feel that you are interested in their area. Go and do some research there. Go and shadow somebody. The same with the industry. I think that that's very valid for any career that you choose.
Okay, yeah, is a good point actually for us to, yeah. Yeah, Dr.
So what I can add to what Hanbin and Nuria said is my student time is pre-internet area. And so one thing I wish I had better utilized the networking opportunities. My supervisor always offered and facilitated us to go to annual meetings like AOCS, IFT. We had the Canadian section of food science meetings, American Chemical Society meetings, and I got the opportunity to go those ones. But as a student, probably I knew, how great to see that particular name who I have seen, scientists who I have seen in research papers I'm reading. I approached them and just say hello and introduce them. But there was a little connection beyond that. So there were networking opportunities for students, availability through these organizations were little. And also we didn't have email we had, but it was, we didn't have social media platforms and things. But now we make sure you utilize those ones to build the network, which is a strong part of your next move from graduating or even in your occupation, if you want to change your career or if you want to move up in your career. So the network opportunities is one of the things that we missed or I missed. The second one is as a scientist, research scientist, I need to write from the day one. I need to write, starting this career, successful proposals that I get funding for to do my research. So get that training, or at least do essential parts of research proposal writing and project management. There are short courses available now, when nowadays we didn't have those ones. It's like we learn through our career, and there was a senior research scientist who we give those things and see, oh, is my proposal good? What are the faults in there? Can you help me to improve that? There were some mentors we had, but now these things are kind of available in public domain. There are courses and things to know the fundamentals and get yourself aware and improve your knowledge on this. Another one I would like to mention, academia or industry. Public sector hire those people, those scientists who have experience in academia and industry, because they do see questions, research questions, so come with different skill sets that public sector needs. So there are individual scientists I have seen in my career in public sector, and even we have hired those who are coming from industry and academia, because they come with wealth of experience to conduct research in public sector, and also move up as administrators or science managers in the sector.
Yes, thank you, really. So I am gonna continue with question in the chat from my friends. So, okay, what are the necessary soft and hard skills you will look for when you are opportune to employ someone for your current role? You can see that question in the chat if you like, or I can repeat again. What are the necessary soft and hard skills you will look for when you want to hire a person?
Yeah, I don't know. You want me to start? I was waiting if like you want somebody to start, but if not, I can start. Gosde, if you want.
Maybe you can.
Okay.
Dr.
Yeah.
Suhada, yeah, please, thank you.
Yeah. Otherwise, just I'm okay with waiting. In the academia, and now I have, of course, I have always two perspectives, right? In the academia, what I was looking every time that I was looking for a new student, soft skills were the interest that the students show on being part of the lab, on the research, and of course, communication skills are key, presentation skills. Those are kind of like the soft skills. And hard skills, unfortunately, by the time that they reach out to you, you don't know a lot about the students. So I will always ask, how did they do, as or I will check, the academic development, right, and the studies and their experience, if they had experience doing some research, and if they show some interest in the past, for whatever that they think that they are choosing right now as going to grad school. In the industry, yes, sorry, Jose, you said something?
No, I just want to also learn that, do you think it is so important to get the same background or the interest with your company, the work, or
no,
right?
No, for the industry. That's what I'm saying. Is that I think right now, when I'm looking for to recruit a person in the industry, well, of course, the system to recruit somebody for the food industry is completely different than the system for the academia, right? Is in the industry is more one person, the hire manager decides who to hire, right? There is basically very, very little input from other persons, right? In the academia, for those that they already are looking for a job in the academia or already had a job in the academia, is a very systematic system. You have a committee. Everybody makes a decision as a team. It's a very intensive interview process. They ask a lot from the candidate. The candidate has to have a teaching philosophy, has to have a research plan, has to have a lot of background, right? So show a lot of proficiency on everything, right? For the industry, is way more relaxed, of course, and it relies normally on one person, you're the hiring manager. And one of the main skills that they are looking for basically is communication skills and aspirations for the candidate, right? Way more than academic development or, you know, and also experience on internships. And that's also, for if you go in the industry role, and the food industry role, they look a lot about if you have, as a student, internships in the food industry. They consider that a big experience, right? So I think just to sum up, right, those are the main things that they are asked for a candidate in the food industry. That is, as you can see, is way more relaxed, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that I see this as a drawback, that it relies on only one person, the hiring manager, and they are not a specific, very little companies, I'm not saying that it's not happening, but very little companies have something like a systematic of system, a system just to hire a person, right? Normally it's all up to the hiring manager if that person considers that is the right fit for the company.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it is really beneficial for us, actually. So maybe Dr. Vanasundara, you want to go?
Sure. Yeah, if because the opportunity to employ someone in your current role, so what are the soft and hard skills? So as an organization like Passion Agri-Food Canada, as the employer, what are the things they are looking for a position? So we go through a pair and pair practice competitions. And so hard skill, as I understand, is the knowledge and skill set to do the particular job or particular work in the position. So that these are coming from academic background, your degrees and your experience. Then the soft skills are the ones, the competencies we look for. So that is to add for values and ethics, whether they can adhere to the values and ethics of the organization. And at the same time, collaboratively, we put the effort to bring a better workplace and also improve our science capacity and knowledge that for the whole agriculture and food industry. So in that sense, we look at integrity, and so your integrity as a person, and then teamwork is very important because we do work as a team. From not only in your lab environment, there are collaborative labs and your fellow same job category people, people above you in job category and below the job category. And then we have administrators who look after your human resources aspect or the management aspect. So everybody, how they fit into the team and interpersonal skills. So there are things that you need to develop. So you have to be a part of the team, and also taking initiatives, how you take initiatives to do things, and adaptability in different situations, how you react to those unexpected situations that comes to you. Even it is a small research experiment that you are doing, you get unexpected result, and how you adapt to, how you change this. So that all involves the soft skills. They are some of the things I mentioned. Just those ones we look for in a person who we are selecting for any positions.
Yes.
There are more others.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
I can add a little bit more, the same,
Sure, please.
Janita and Nuria covers a lot. I mean, because if I'm opportunity, to hire somebody for my job, as a university professor. I mean, hiring somebody for academia is very different, versus you have
Yeah.
somebody in the government, or in the industry, because you're gonna have somebody which will be your future colleague. Not like say you are not like say like they are leaders, so you what really want for the hard skills is pretty much depends on what we wrote for the job, describe the job, and because it really depends on its what's the distribution of efforts, and it's really mostly on teaching or for research. So this is pretty specified actually in the job description. Mostly, you're gonna see your research potential, you see your publications, and see how you can get grants, you can get those dollars, and then how you teach a course, the teaching evaluations from the students, and then this is pretty much will be specified in the job description, and also if you're whether or not your job can complement with the other colleagues, because you want to have somebody that can make your department stronger, and you don't want to have somebody that can do the similar job that may cause conflict. And then for this soft skill, I think everybody, whatever jobs, we are talking about, you just communicate, get along with each other, and would like to volunteer, would like to help others. I mean, this is, I think, it's pretty much we all want whatever jobs, and Janita and the New Year already covered that.
Yes. Do you think it is important to have postdoc degree if somebody has a long-term work experience?
I feel it really depends on, we have somebody here, Dr. Andrew Gravel, and he just directly moved from a graduate student to as a professor. I mean, they would like to see your experience. Maybe you even though you are a student, you still have a chance to, volunteer a lot, organize conference. I mean, people see what you did before. It's not really say, okay, you have to do a postdoc, blah blah. I mean, but typically you like to do sometime. You will need to have some years of working experience. But if you are very very strong case, that's case by case.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. It's also beneficial for myself too. Thank you so much. So we have limited time, but I would love to continue with just one more question. So please just, it will be better to give your answer in a short time for us. So yeah, what opportunities and challenges do you see in your field compared to different two careers?
Maybe I can go first. I will be a very short answer, because for me, I think academia, you get a lot of flexibility and freedom, but this is also one of the things that is sometimes you get too much flexibilities and freedom. So you need to manage, because you are like the boss. People not call you professor, they call the boss of your students, because then you have to be you gain more flexibility, but you have to be very self-disciplinary, which I'm still learning. Because you have to force yourself to do everything good, because everybody in your students they are looking at you. I mean, this is something that I feel I'm still working on, and how I can do everything is very strict to myself, so that I can be a good example to the students.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. So
I'll go next.
please.
I think
please,
in
Dr.
the public sector, we have to balance the academic freedom and what really is good for the public sector, and the department or the mandate you are given as a research scientist in your program. As a scientist, everybody would like to have the freedom, or any question that comes to your mind and you see you would like to investigate, but it cannot be done in that way. We have to see, does it really aligns with the things that I'm supposed to do here to answer this, address these research priorities we have for the department?
Mhm.
So that way, it is again, I think, another way that help us to develop our thinking broadly to find a way to still continue our academic
Continue, yeah.
freedom. At the same time, find a corner to support public research. Yeah, so
Mhm.
that's, we do a lot of creativity. I think it requires creativity to do that.
Yeah, you are in the middle point, right? So
In the
it's-
middle
yeah,
point.
in
So
the
it
middle
is challenging as science.
Yeah. That is also good too. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Yeah, Svedova.
Yes, I think this what I'm going to say is can be considered a challenge and an opportunity at the same time. In the
Yes.
academia, I think one challenge, but also good, like an opportunity, is that your success as a professor, as somebody in the academia, relies majority on you, on yourself, whether it is writing grants, having successful students, publishing, the success is measured on that basis, right? How much grants you get, how many students you graduate, how many publications you have, patents or something, right? At least in my case, I know that there are other people that works on extension and maybe their success is measured differently, but in my particular case, that's what happened. In the industry, I see it as a little bit more of a challenge to let go. As I mentioned before, you have the chance, which is also an opportunity to work and learn from other disciplines like marketing, like sales, like consumer insights, and all of that. But at the same time, your success also relies on them, right? Like a product development that needs to be launched. How is going to be launched? You need marketing, you need consumer insight, you need sales, right? So projects are a little bit more, responsibilities are a little bit more distributed, and that is a challenge. So basically, I had to sharpen a lot my communication skills, my influence on other professionals just to move along projects. And so again, it can be seen both ways, right? I learned a lot. It has been a huge learning curve for me, but as well, a challenge just to depend on others.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah, I think time is up for us today. And then, first of all, I would like to thank you for all of you, Dr. Vana Sundara, Dr. Honbin Fan, and also Dr. Svedova. So as my friend mentioned about that, just a quick reminder. So besides being a member of the reputable scientific team here, you will also receive some benefit, yes, if you would like to join us. And also, I would love to add, we have a big meeting in Quebec, Montreal. So we would love to see you there too. So again, thank you very much. It's so beneficial for us as students. So thank you and see you next time then.
Thank you, speakers.